Hi everyone and welcome back to the Absolute FM Show, your weekly podcast for everything Football Manager. I'm FM Moochy and I'm joined as always by my good friend and co-host Kylex. How's it going, Kylex?
How you doing, Moochy? How you doing, everyone? You've been practicing that, haven't you, all week?
I'm not going to lie. There have been a couple of moments today where I thought, let's see if I can say it. And I did. After the problems that I ran into last week's show, we'll just say that. Considering they are my own words, it was nice to be able to say it freely for once.
Well,
Thank you very much.
So
Everyone, that was the first take. So there we go. Unlike last week. So you're good, man? Everything all good? How's your week been in FM?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. Nothing's really changed with my Newcastle save, even though I've been doing that on stream. I've done 2 streams since, and I'm still 7th in the league. So still overperforming. 32 games in now, so coming to the end of the season. So it's just whether we're going to finish in that 7th place and hope maybe get into some sort of Europe. That should be fun. And also I've been doing the hot seat challenge, which if you're in the Absolute FM Discord, you will know about. Obviously, I won't go into that too much because next week we've got Kev Mckeown in, the guy who's come up with the idea for it. So we will leave that. We'll leave that for another discussion. But that's pretty much it, really. Nothing's really changed in my Twitch save. So
7th with a few games to go.
What is it? 6? Is it 30?
38 games. Yep. So you said you're on 32.
Yeah. So 6 games. Yeah. 6
Business
games
end of the season. That's very much. Is there a gap? Are you comfortable in 7th? Are you looking upwards or downwards?
Well, Chelsea are in 6th and they're on 57 points, and we're 7th with 51 points. Chelsea have got 2 games hand over us, so they're probably comfortably 6th. And then below us we've got Brighton in 8th randomly. Yeah, and Watford in 9th, and Huddersfield in 10th.
Weird.
But Watford and Brighton are on 47 and 48 points respectively. So we could drop out. Yeah.
Well, but you could also stay there. But it's interesting teams though. I find it very strange how different people's saves in the same league are affecting. So, for example, you might take over one team, Newcastle, for example, and do better with them than they normally would. I've taken over Crystal Palace, and they'll do better than they normally would. But it's interesting how other teams like Brighton and Huddersfield, who you wouldn't expect to be up there, are doing so. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the top 6 are pretty much given. They're always the same ones up there. But weirdly, Arsenal are top of the league, only by a point. Yeah. But they've got 2 games. They've got 2 games in hand over Man City and Tottenham, who are 2nd and 3rd. So wow, that's potentially 7 points at the top of the league. So I'm not sure.
So Liverpool aren't even in the top 3 then?
No, Liverpool are 4th.
Wow.
Currently 4 points behind Arsenal. Although saying that they're also on 31 points, so they've got 2 games in hand as well.
Okay, so that might kind of even itself out in the end.
Yeah. They could potentially be 2nd and finish 4 points behind Arsenal,
which is the kind of position you'd expect them to finish in, I suppose.
Well, yeah, they're a strong side in this FM, aren't they? They're in real life they're a strong side, but it just seems no matter what they do, there's always that one team that outdoes them in real life and FM. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can be the best they've ever been, but someone else will be that one little bit better.
You feel sorry for the teams playing Man City this year. But interestingly, Liverpool won the league in my first season on my Palace save, and then Man United won it in the second. But yeah, Liverpool were very, very strong in the first season on mine.
Yeah. I reckon they'll probably finish 2nd. But it looks like Arsenal have been top probably most of the season. So what about yours? How's yours? It's
good, yeah. I mean, the episode. Let's have a look here. The episode that we had. Oh, my headphones just fell off. That should make good viewing. Yeah,
bloopers.
There's nothing I can do. It's in now. Forget it. So my week in FM has been good. My Palace save has been going well, and I think last night, because of course today is Thursday, so last night episode 21 came out, which was end of the season, 2 games special, just trying to see where we can finish in the league. So by now it's not a spoiler because it's out. It was all to do with whether or not we could finish 7th was our only option. So similar to where you are at the moment. It was effectively us in 8th, Everton in 7th, and it was whether or not we could win our games, whether they would lose. Even if we won both of our games, it wasn't necessarily in our hands. So we had to rely on Everton, who had 2 away games. They were away at Leicester and away at Arsenal. And we were home to Middlesbrough and away at Bournemouth. So it was a very, very tight couple of games. And I'm happy to say that we got into Europe again. So I guess in answer to your question, how has it been? It's gone well. Europe 2 seasons in a row. And I'm very much hoping I can get this 3rd season done. I always wanted to do 3 seasons in the beta. So I'm hoping that this will be the 3rd season and I can get that done before we move into our main saves.
Awesome stuff. So yeah, I mean, you're not stepping back. You're still in Europe. So that's a good thing.
Although
hopefully I can follow you.
It's wonderful. Join us. But do you know what? In my first season, I finished 5th, so we got straight into the Europa League, no problem. This year, I mean, I'm slightly ahead of where my save is, but this year, because we finished 7th, we had to qualify. So it meant that we started to play in sort of July or something. I've played like 8 games before the season kicked off or something, and I'm 2 months in, and I'm already 3 games behind everyone else in the league. It's going to be a real slog this year, but we want to be in Europe and the financial rewards that it brings, and the players and the reputation enhancement. So finishing 7th is definitely better than finishing 8th, even if it means you've got loads of extra games to play.
Yeah, very good, very good. Wilfried Zaha.
Exactly, yeah, he's long gone. He's a squad player at Arsenal, I think, and it's weird though because I keep getting these bits of news where it will say I'm due an amount of money because he's playing extra games for Arsenal, who he joined, but I get such a small amount, like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like 20 quid per 10 games.
I'm really going to do a lot with that. It just pay for a program or something on match day. But I'm interested to see, know, when the real game, when it's fully released, because now that it is, I'm still stuck in my beta. I'd be very interested to know what his contract is like in the full release. I wonder if it's as weird as it is in the beta, but that's something we'll have to look at. And if anyone watching this knows, put it in the comments, because it saves me having to load up a new save just to check out.
Well, I'm on the full one now. I've moved my thingy save over to the full one, and it doesn't look like he's still at Crystal Palace. So let's have a look, see what's going on with him. He's at Man City.
Okay. A interesting destination. What does his history say in terms of how much he went for?
Well, he's rated 28.5 million. He went for 35.5 million to Man City.
It's just not a lot of money, is it? Like, there is no way that he would go.
Especially if he adds the add-ons. That
Yeah, so with Palace. I mean, there's no point. I mean, there literally is no point in selling him for that unless he's demanded to go. But he wouldn't go for that in real life. I mean, what is it? They say something like 100 million now to stay in the Premier League. Without Zaha, they're in danger of not being in the league, and even with him, they're in danger of not being in the league this season. But you're not going to sell your key to staying in the Premier League for 35 or whatever it was £1 million. It just wouldn't happen.
Well, he's played 8 games this season for Man City, and he scored 2 goals, and his average rating is 6.68.
Work to do, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was a great prolific signing for Man City.
But then I suppose for 35 million, for them it's just change, isn't it?
Yeah. They buy players so they don't have to play against them, isn't it? That's pretty much what Man City do.
If only we all had clubs that had money of that kind of nature. Cool. All right. No, good. Well, I'm glad your week's gone well, mate. I've been enjoying it too. And we're getting close to the weekend, which is when I'll be able to get into a bit more. So I'm looking forward to it. So now it's time for us to talk about our topic of the week. It's something that each week either Kylex or myself will come up with, just something that we've think is worth talking about, something that creates a bit of discussion between both ourselves and maybe between you after listening to this or in the comments, etc. It'd be nice to hear some of your thoughts and maybe interact with you on Twitter or on the YouTube comments, etc., just to get your take on what we've been talking about. So this week, Kylex, I want to talk about formations and tactics, specifically where we get our tactics from and how we create them. So would you say, are you a man that likes to create your own tactic from scratch, or are you someone that downloads them?
Well, this year I did actually download one. I can't remember who I downloaded it from now. But that mainly for the beta, not for my main save. You know, because you get that part of the when you first start playing the new Football Manager, like what's going to work, what's not going to work. So I've tried this one, and it's not the best, to be fair. And I usually just revert back to 4-4-2 and just change it. So what I've done this year, because we're talking about this year's game, is I downloaded one that's like a 4-2-4 DM wide isometric.
Okay. Yeah,
is that what it's called? Isometric. Yeah. So, and I don't think it's done anything good really. I can't even remember where I got it from. It was I think I saw it on Twitter, and I just thought, oh, I'll give that a go. Just for the sort of beta. But the problem with it is that it's got 4 defenders, 2 defensive midfielders, 3 attacking midfielders, and then 1 striker, slightly to the left rather than central. And I've heard a lot of people saying this year about the 1 striker thing isn't working.
Interesting.
So that probably says obviously why it's not been brilliant for me, or maybe I've just not got the players to suit it. But I haven't kept it exactly how I downloaded it. I have sort of tinkered with it a little bit, changed a few things, changed a few positions and stuff like that. But in general, it's not something I'm going to stick with. And when my new save comes out, because it's lower league, I'm probably just going to do the 4-4-2, to be fair.
Sure. I mean, it's funny because you look at the players at that kind of level in relation to the rest of the game, and that, you know, they look terrible, and you think, right, well, they're not going to be able to do anything other than 4-4-2. But when you see them play, they're a damn sight better than I ever was. You know, it's interesting to think that.
Oh yeah, I mean, the team I'm going as in my main save this year, I've been seeing them quite a few times in their home games, and they're entertaining to watch. They're really, really good side to watch. Like, people think non-league's just like hoofing it straight up, but it's not. It is very, very good. I probably enjoy it more than, and that's probably because of the atmosphere there, rather than watching, you know, it on the telly. You know, watching the Premier League on the telly, and I'd rather go and watch the local non-league side. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to go just play the 4-4-2 and work at that tactic. So generally, that's what I do, because I generally start low league. I very, very rarely do a high league save. I normally start in the Vanarama North, so I don't really play with fancy tactics. And, you know, obviously you've got the new technical styles, the Gegenpress and the tick attack and all that. None of that's really going to be any sort of good for me. So I just thought I'd play with what works in FM19, really.
It's interesting because, you know, the game is full of new tactical styles and options, if you like, but then it does have to match the players at your disposal, I suppose. I am, I suppose, somewhere between a creator and a downloader of tactics. I think certainly when it starts, like most of us, I think you probably have to create because there's not really anything to download. And then I'll look at what's around and available to download and see how that impacts sort of what I'm doing. But with my Crystal Palace save, it's been all things that I've done, and that's just been based on sort of the new options that you've got, the new tactical styles. You mentioned Gegenpress earlier. I started on Crystal Palace with an adapted version of the wing play option, but I found that we just didn't have anywhere near enough of the ball. I've seen other people mention something similar on Twitter, and whether or not it's an interesting tactical style, because really all it should be doing is getting us to play wide. You've got your wingers and inside forwards with your fullbacks either overlapping or underlapping. There's nothing about it that says, you know, pass direct or anything, or, you know, get rid of the ball or pass it quickly. Yet we're ending, I mean, it's not uncommon for us to have less than 40% of the ball in games, which, you know, in real life is just not necessarily sustainable. It's not how a lot of teams play, but yet we're still creating an even amount of chances, so it didn't look right. But anyway, then I moved on to a Gegenpress, which is what I'm doing now with Crystal Palace. I've not really changed anything. I just bought the players to suit the system, so it kind of the tactical preset had, if you like, I think it had a box-to-box midfielder and the name of the position that I can never pronounce. I think it's called Cariello or something, whatever that's called. But that's the one. I know you'd know. That position in the middle. And so I've just been buying players that suit the system. So we've got cultured wing backs, ball playing defenders. We've got a pressing forward, and so it's been more about buying. I mean, I'm in my third season and I don't have a single player left that started at Palace, so it's been a complete overhaul trying to get the right players to that system, and it seems to work. So that's what I'm into.
I think that's the key, isn't it? And they say, like, obviously at the top level, players can play out of position or in different roles, even though the circles are red. Generally, you know, they can't play efficiently, but they can play in them positions. And the problem, like when we had the FM show, you know, giving the hints and things that are going to be coming into the new game and all that, I saw them touch on the Gegenpress, and Miles was the one, you know, talking about it, saying that basically it's not going to work if you don't have the players to suit it. So like you're saying, you know, you've chosen how you want to play. You've got your philosophy ready to go. Then you're building your team around the philosophy. Whereas I think a lot of people in past Football Managers, and maybe it's because we haven't had this philosophy thing so much in the past, people tend to play the formation that suits the players they've got, rather than bringing players in to play how they want to play. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting that, I think that's very much, I think we touched on it last episode, but it's very much here's a kind of a taster of what it could look like in FM20, and in real life, of course. You bring a new manager in, that new manager then will have, if you like, a reputation. So Guardiola, when he moves from one club to the next, he has a certain style that he tends to bring with him, and that club then goes through a bit of an evolution in terms of players moving on and new players coming in. So it's interesting that you could move between clubs and have that style and evolve the club as you take it on, rather than just coming in and saying, right, I'm a 4-3-3 guy. There's already players here that can play that way, but you can't really do anything more with it. And I think now tactically you have the option to feel like, this is me, this is my personality in a formation, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what I meant by the whole, you know, you've had, obviously before, you've had your formations and you've had your player roles, but I think this tactical style part of the game proper allows you to embed your own philosophy into the team, especially if you've got a few ideas of how you want to play and who you want to buy, then it can be even easier. But obviously with the 3 different transitions you've got, you know, the in possession, the out of possession, in transition, whatever, that's part of building it into, you know, like tinkering it, if you like, rather than, you know, just having one lump philosophy, one lump thing lumped into the game. And that's what it's always been up until now. So I think, you know, the fact you can do that, I think that really, really does. It's a game changer in my eyes. I think you can change a team to suit you, rather than, you know, you changing you to suit the game or the players you've got.
Yeah, I think it will make things like journeyman saves a lot more interesting because you'll feel like you are putting your stamp on that club that you take on.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah.
So that brings me on to my next point, actually, because I just said the word game in my last sentence, and it reminded me. So it's a game. So it's a realistic game, but it's a game nonetheless, and so it comes with its things that are exploitable, for example. So how do you feel about a tactic that is designed specifically to exploit a flaw in the match engine? So, for example, last year, playing 3 strikers seemed to be the way to go, and the year before that, it seemed to be a marauding right and left wing back, if you like. Would you think, right, well, that's a way for me to be successful, so I'm going to use that, or would you steer away from it just because does it feel like a cheat, if you like?
Well, the thing with the 4-3-3 last year, it wasn't a flat 4-4-3. It had to be set a certain way, and I remember because we had only just recently started the Absolute FM Discord back then, and basically plug by the way. But basically, we did a Absolute FM trophy, and it was 32 teams, 32 players, and there was you picked your team and all that. And basically, we banned the 4-3-3.
Interesting.
We said you can't play it because a lot of people sort of it was frowned upon. Like a lot of people, especially the big YouTubers, were like, well, why would you do it? You're not playing the game, are you? You basically go on holiday and letting your assistant manager take over, aren't you? Really, if you're just going to do something you know is going to work, then there's no point in you coming to work at the end of the day, anyway, is there? So, I think we banned it, and then there was surprisingly a bit of a kickback because people were going, well, it's in the game, so why can't we use it? Which is right, really, but. Again, they seem to be the smallest. I don't want to say smaller YouTubers, but like the newer YouTubers, So maybe they were playing it because they didn't understand the game quite as much as the bigger YouTubers who were saying it was a cheat. A cheat. I don't think you can. I don't think you can cheat on Football Manager because a tactic is a tactic, and a 4-3-3 is a tactic.
It is. Yeah.
So. If you had 2 good defenders, and you were playing, you played them slightly wide of centre, so they were covering the whole defence pretty much, but they were really good defenders, and you put the rest of your players up top, which you wouldn't really do necessarily in real life, but for this scenario, that's what I'm saying. That's going to cause the opposition team in real life a lot of problems. If they can't get the ball in their half because there's so many people in their half attacking, then it's probably going to be a game breaker, which I'm doing in brackets there, quotation marks even. And that's the whole point really. So someone's found that, and that's exactly what managers do. They find the game breaker tactic, if you like, in real life. Do you know what I mean? They find something that's going to, be the weakness to the other team, and the only reason that it was seen as a cheat is because it tended to be a weakness to the majority of teams. However, there were teams that it wasn't like you were winning every game. You did win the majority of it, but you wasn't winning every game. So it's not a game breaker tactic. It's a very good tactic. But I think in Football Manager 19, I feel like there's maybe the AI gets onto your tactics a bit better.
Okay.
Like if you play the same tactic all the time, the teams seem to change it more. I don't know if it's just me thinking that, but that's what I've been thinking when I've been playing games recently. Like if I've kept the same tactic in about 4 or 5 games in a row, it don't matter who we play, we seem to get we get beat or shown up a little bit.
Okay.
So it's one of them really. I don't think it's a cheat, but I do think if you're gonna play a game and tell people you're playing it and you're good at it, then you probably shouldn't use a tactic that you don't have to do anything with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting, I suppose. So if you've got someone that makes videos or creates content, you want to be proud, I suppose, of your content that's out there. And if I suppose people get trolled online, or you get negative comments, or some people are that way inclined, and you wouldn't want to necessarily give them. You wouldn't want to be an easy target, I suppose, by saying, well, look at me, I've just won the league. Well, and someone, well, of course you won the league, you're cheating by playing that ridiculous tactic or something. I think it's difficult because it would be it's like a carrot. It's being dangled in front of you, if you like. It's do you want to be having a hard time? Are you going to get sacked? Well, play this, because then you won't. I mean, I hope that. Well, I'm sure it's something that SI look at and I would try and do something about. I think I've seen things talking about player like preferred roles, etc., and their preferred moves and what have you. Some of those can seem a little overpowered, but I suppose it's on them to make that game feel balanced. And if somebody out there finds a way of disrupting that balance, then it's on SI to do something about it. But I think I certainly don't see it as a cheat. I use that word as a way to kind of describe my point, I suppose. But I think I wouldn't feel comfortable looking for a tactic that's an auto win and then trying to put drama into my save and my YouTube series if I win 99% of the time. I want to look back at my schedule and see the tough games, the losses, and celebrate the wins, I suppose. So I would always try and adapt, I suppose. Try and find something that I see and make it my own, I guess. But then even in real life, you will be influenced by teams that play a certain way. So you might look online and see a tactic that's winning, and all the comments are, this is amazing, I can't lose, I'm scoring 10 goals a game, etc., etc. You'll see some that will say it doesn't work for me, and that's probably down to their players, etc. But in real life, you've got a team like Barcelona or Man City, and teams will be influenced by the way that they play. So I think it's okay to be influenced by these tactics, but I would probably suggest making it your own, because it's a way for you to learn another avenue, another part of the game that you could completely ignore. Not something we'll get into now, but it's a bit like getting your assistant manager to do all the training. There's a whole part of the game that you're never going to learn, but that might be fine for you. That might not be something that you want to do. So I would certainly recommend delving into the tactics, and then it feels very rewarding when you make a change and it comes off. So I think really that's ultimately what I would recommend, is doing it for yourself, because it feels better. Even if it doesn't work, you can start a new save and go again. Yeah.
I mean, my brother is absolute, like, he's played it for as long as I have, Football Manager. We've always played it. And he's always going on like, oh, I'm unbeatable, I'm this, I'm that. And whenever I play, like when I'm back home and when we play, like, against each other, I've not against each other, not like drafts, like we're in the same league and we sort of do a season or two while I'm down, see who can do the best, and he tends to do the best, because what he does is he well, I didn't know until this year when I went down and he was sat next to me and he was fiddling around with the editor and putting all the best players into his team. And a couple of years ago he was saying to me, "Oh, I went 3 years without losing a game," and I was like, "It's not possible." like Football Manager will not let you do that. Like that's why the whole FM thing is about. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you can go 3 years, 3 whole seasons without losing a game, then it's pointless. Like I can't comprehend Football Manager allowing that to happen. I can't go 10 games without a lose. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it is there, so it can't. It's not a cheat. It's not. It's there for a reason. So I'm not saying don't use it but I think if you look at it, if you look at the creators that use them sort of tactics, they're normally creators that will be the likes of Man United and the big clubs. Where they just sort of want the win, the instant gratification. Whereas the people who don't tend to use it tend to do lower league saves. And they want to get a team from the bottom up and sort of build them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they want to get their gratification that way. So I think it's kind of like a difficulty level, I guess, in that respect, where if you want to make it easy for yourself, you've got the game breaking tactics, you've got the editor where you can bring in all your best players, and But personally, I would get no satisfaction out of that whatsoever. I just wouldn't. It'd feel like I'm just pressing continue.
Yeah,
constantly. And that's kind of what my brother does. He just sort of presses continue.
And maybe that's just how some people play. And actually, maybe I guess a final point on this could be just that it's good that there are options and that there are different people will enjoy playing the game in different ways. Also, different people have different amounts of time that they can give to this game. And if you are someone that, maybe you have a family, maybe you only get to play this a couple of hours a week, etc. Just something like that. Maybe that instant gratification is what you need. I suppose if you only get to play for a few hours on a Saturday night when the kids are gone to bed and the wife's out with her friends or something, do you really want to be bogged down in the conference, and you're only going to get to play probably 2 or 3 seasons throughout the whole life cycle of FM19? I suppose you want to be in it, you want to be buying the best players, playing with the best teams, etc. So maybe for them, that's a way that they get their enjoyment out of it, whereas perhaps you or I might find it more enjoyment in just really getting into a tactic and starting lower league, signing players you've never heard of, etc. So perhaps because it is a game, maybe ultimately that's what it needs. If it was hardcore for every single person, perhaps it wouldn't be as popular.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't, because you've always got the people who prefer to play games on easy, and you've also got the people that like the challenge and want to play them on hard. And that's not just Football Manager. Obviously, that Football Manager doesn't have that option. But for instance, me, if I play a story-based game, I don't like to play it on hard because I find you lose interest a lot quicker, and you don't the storyline's not as visible, if you like, because you're constantly just restarting because you're dying and you're going back and you're having to redo the same bit over again, over and over and over
Agreed.
again. And I like to watch the story unfold as I'm going. I don't want it too easy, but I don't want it to be impossible, because otherwise it's like, what's the point in playing? So I think there's a happy medium, and I think at the end of the day, like you said, it's a game, and I think that it's each their own, isn't it? If they want to play a game their way, then who are we or anyone else to tell them?
Yeah, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong way, is there? And if someone wants to do,
although the FM community might not be so forgiving.
Yeah, perhaps they have social media if that's how you want to play, but that's fine. It's your game. You spent the money. Play it however you want, and it doesn't matter whatever anyone else says. You do it your way.
And don't bloody brag about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm the best in the world," because you're not. You've literally just spent two or three seasons clicking the continue button after you've messed around with the editor and played a game-breaking tactic. That's not you being a good manager.
The end. The end. Okay, that's fine. So now it's time for our social shout out, and this week I wanted to thank FM Jellico, someone that's on our Discord, Absolute FM. But FM Jellico reached out to me on one of my recent uploads onto YouTube, and I've been ranting recently, or having a very frustrated time with goal line technology and replays that just showed that the ball didn't cross the line. We moaned about it last week. I'll probably moan about it next week. But he told me there is a way to turn that off. I didn't know this, and if you didn't, apparently you can turn off goal line replays. You just have to go into the bit in the match engine where you're talking about the type of replays that you want, and apparently there's an option there just to check it and remove it. So thank you, FM Jellicoe. You are an absolute lifesaver. I appreciate it, mate. Did you know you could do that?
I had no idea, but it is a pointless thing, as you said. We've touched on it in the last episode. I wonder if is it the same with VAR and stuff like that?
I wonder if it is the same. But last week we were actually talking, and I said I'd never seen VAR, and we said, "Oh, that's because we're in England, not in Germany."
Yeah.
I was playing a League Cup game last weekend, and I got a bit of VAR.
How pointless?
Extremely pointless. It was for a free kick outside the box, but not like a shooting chance. It was sort of wide near the kind of the corner flag. I have no idea why it came up. It was sort of, I think, well, you can't tell whether the free kick was given or not because the whistle was blown and then he ran off to his screen and then he came back and we had a free kick and nothing came of it. So it was, I'll turn that off as well if I can. But I thought that was wonderful because I'm not sure that, well, I've not really read anyone that said they're enjoying the goal line stuff. So like I said, if it was to change the decision, brilliant. I don't need to see that it didn't cross the line when not a goal was given. Is probably my final point. So thank you, FM Jellicoe. You've saved me lots and lots of angry times moving forward. Cheers, mate. Now it's time for our Creator of the Week. And before we get into that, I just also want to mention this would normally be the part of the show where we'd have a game or Kylex and I do something ridiculous. We knew we were going to go long this week with our topic, etc. So we're not going to do it this week, but we're definitely going to have it back next week because we'll have a third person with a guest on the show. So we're going to think of something crazy to do with the three of us. But time for Creator of the Week, as I've said. Kylex, who is our creator this week?
I think we've both sort of come to the conclusion that we should, obviously, in future, if we've got our guest on, they're probably going to be the creator of the week as well. So because we haven't got a guest on this week, and there's someone that's sort of helped out both of us this year in Football Manager, probably unbeknownst to themselves, but our creator of the week this week is the FM editor, due to obviously creating the lower league databases, and obviously I'm doing Evo Stick League save, and you yourself are doing one at the same level. So yeah, the shout out this year, the content creator this week is the FM editor. You can find him on Twitter at the FM editor 85. I need to say 86 then. So yeah, at the FM editor 85, and he's not new to creating databases. He's been doing them for quite a few years now. So yeah, that's our creator.
Yeah,
of the
he's
week.
a good guy. I've been talking to him for a while about the upcoming save because I needed the database, as indeed you did, mate. And he super responsive. He's always helpful. And actually, he's happy to receive information about, you know, the club that you want to be managing, etc. But currently, it's sort of on an early release. It's going to be released fully when it's down to the 10th tier. Currently, it's fully tested up to the 9th tier. So if you want to get in early, just contact him on Twitter, and he's happy to share it. It will be on a wider release when it gets to tier 10. I messaged him earlier, and it should be out next week, mid to late next week. But you mentioned about how long he's been doing it. Since FM14, when he first started doing custom databases, he's just about to cross 500,000 downloads, which is,
that's crazy.
I know it is. That's a lot of people using his databases, and that's just his. I mean, it's just, the game's massive now, but it shows how good his stuff is. It's always well liked, well received, and to be honest, without someone like the FM editor, it wouldn't you and I wouldn't be able to do the saves that we've got planned. So big shout out to the FM editor and thank him for all of his efforts. Much appreciated.
Yeah. I wanted to also say about his how approachable he is as well, because I've messaged him a few times and I imagine he gets quite a few impatient people, hence the reason he's released it early as well. I'm one of them. I was like, come on, just give it to me, give it to me. So there may be slight bugs in my save. I'm hoping nothing too major. But yeah, so the FM editor is our creator of the week this week, and go check him out, guys.
Okay, so after creator of the week, I thought it'd be a good time to maybe talk about our content. So Kylex, tell the people where they can find you and what sort of content you're putting out there.
On Twitch and YouTube, Kylex FM. I do play mainly Football Manager, but every now and then I have a little go on some other sort of games for my YouTube channel. But yeah, mainly Football Manager. And on Twitter, it's Kylex8FM.
Cool.
What about yourself?
So I am 100% Football Manager, certainly in terms of the content that I put out there. Nice and simple. I'm on Twitter and YouTube, and both are at FM Moochy. So if you follow me on one, why not follow me on the other? I've got a reasonable percentage of my Twitter followers that are subscribing on YouTube, but there's always room for more. So come and join us, subscribe, and also jump into the Absolute FM Discord, of which Kyle and I are both founders of. One big family over there, and it's kind of a nice, keeps everything moving, keeps the cycle turning. I will say, of course, the Absolute FM Discord, my content, Carl's content, our creator of the week's content, all links to our channels. They're all going to be down below in the description box on YouTube. So if you listen to this on SoundCloud or iTunes, then head on over to YouTube, maybe watch the video, and everything that you might possibly want to find out in relation to this episode is going to be linked below.
Yeah, we're both good-looking lads, so don't be afraid of the cameras.
Very kind of him, and he's right. He's right, everybody. Like, I was going to say it was kind, but I don't think that the truth doesn't have to be kind. Facts are facts.
I say that, and to be fair, I've had a shave, so I'm literally looking like a 10-year-old.
Have you? I see the magic of editing. I can't see your face, and you can't see mine. It gets put together afterwards. So I didn't know that you'd shaved.
Imagine if you've shaved.
Yeah,
that would just be
freaky. Be weird.
We're both shaved.
That would be. But I haven't shaved my face for ever.
Okay. Just your face.
I'll say my face and ever. So if 1 week I've shaved, something's gone horribly wrong in the world. So
yeah. And he usually shaves his legs.
You've got to be streamlined. You have to be streamlined. Like aerodynamic efficiency is what it's about. So
yeah, you never know when you're gonna fall into the sea.
That's right. Living south of London, right in the middle of the country. Yeah, you've got to be careful of the sea. So yeah. So that'll do it for another week of the Absolute FM show with me, FM Moochy, and Kylex. It's been great. I've had a great time. It's been good sort of getting into the nuts and bolts of tactics. Next week, of course, we'll have a guest on. So we're looking forward to bringing on one of our friends into the show and talking about him and the kind of stuff that he's got going on. So thanks for joining us this week. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching and listening.
All the best. Cut. Brilliant. That made me laugh. That'll keep me chuckling. Right. So we'll. Yeah, and that's a family-friendly show. I shave my head numerous times a week. I shave. Yeah. But there we go. It was more. It was funnier to talk about legs than heads. That's fine. So. Exactly. It's a nice section in the end. That's fine. Right. So I got the links in there. That's fine. So I'll come to the goodbyes, and I'll just say again about checking the links below, because it'll point everyone towards everything that we're doing and just the goodbyes. So I'll say the goodbye, and then I'll let you say later at the end, and then that will do it. Okay. So ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Goodbyes.